DanganRonpa.
Hey guys, you have seen here. Welcome back to some more Let's Play DanganRonpa. In the last episode, we investigated the deaths of Ishimaru and Yamada. And in this episode, we are going to start off with the class trial. Now let's look at our skills, because I know I have some good ones to use now. No. Well, I have new ones from last time, I think. Because I have Fujisaki's and everyone else's. Oh, decrease crosshair drift. I think cool and composed just keeps it steady. I think. Strong arm. Oh, I have more than enough. Cool and composed. I'm keeping strong arm because strong arm is fucking amazing. Cheat code. Hawkeye's Man of Steel. Algorithm, right? No. Algorithm's useful. Steel reduces damage to influence gauge. Voice of Gold. Craft word. Doubles number of bullet. Yeah, that come. Oh, 4. Man of Steel. I want to keep that. I want to keep that too. I really want to keep all this shit. I want to keep Remarkable Influence. I think I'll just get rid of Voice of Gold for now, because craft work is much more useful. Okay, and with that, I think we've finished preparations, so let's get this ball rolling.
Let's start off with a simple explanation. You guys' votes determine the trial's outcome. Finger the true villain and only the villain gets punished, but make the wrong accusation, and everyone else gets punished, leaving your deceiver to graduate free and clear. Okie dokie. So first on the agenda is, we already know who the culprit is already. Ho. He has no alibi for the murders or disappearing bodies, and most damningly, was found in the costume. No matter how you look at it, you're the culprit, Yasuhiro Hagakure.
I'm telling you, I didn't do it. I was knocked out the whole time.
Shut your trap, you filthy murderer!
Look who's talking.
I'm sorry, Hagakure. We even have evidence. The blueprints for the costume, and the numerous parts likely used to construct it. All of this was found in your room. This is all unequivocal proof that you built the costume, dressed yourself in it, and proceeded to commit a long string of crimes.
I'm telling you, I know nothing, I know nothing, I know nothing, I know nothing!
Is Hagakure really the culprit? Or...
That's the first thing that needs to be made clear. Alright, Hagakure's message.
Your room gave us everything we needed. The blueprints...
That's it. No, that's wrong! I mean, if you couldn't tell already, just compare the handwriting on the blueprints to Hagakure's note. I mean, Hagakure writes so fucking neat. And the writing on the blueprint is just... like mine, it's just nasty. Did Hagakure really draw those blueprints?
What are you trying to say?
Take a look at this. This is the note Hugakure used to gather everyone together after Alter Ego went missing. Compared to these blueprints, the handwriting is clearly different, see? He's right, they don't appear to be written by the same person. He could have simply changed his handwriting. No, the difference is too great to have only been a change in handwriting. Anyway, I'm not talented enough to do something like change my handwriting at will. Then, are you saying Hugakure is not the culprit, Naegi? It's not just Naegi. I don't think he is either. Huh? But then, who was Justice Robo, really? Are you saying that Hugakure was right and someone else wore a costume just like it? The identity of the madman? Answer her, Naegi. Yeah, just push it all on me, sure. Come on, Naegi, answer me. What's Justice Robo's real identity? The so-called madman, the only one who could have worn the costume. Really, the only person who could have worn the costume was Yasuhiro Hagakure. Hagakure. It couldn't have been anyone else. The costume only fit him, and in the end, we never found another costume, so there's no mistake. Hagakure was the madman. You're not making sense either. Didn't you just say Hagakure wasn't the culprit? It makes perfect sense. Hagakure was the madman, but he wasn't the culprit. That's all. Which means, exactly, the culprit and the madman are not the same person. What? A stroke of genius! Do you have any evidence to suggest the madman is not the culprit? Of course I do, but first things first. There's something that must be made perfectly clear, so let's talk about that first. Hey, cut the dramatics and spit it out! Everything has an order in which it must be done. So, what is this matter you must make clear before we proceed? The method by which Ishimaru's corpse was moved. It seems certain things were used when his corpse was moved. Can you tell me what those were, Naegi? Things used to move Ishimaru's corpse. It was 1. The blue vinyl sheet. There's that, and there's one more. And the storage room trolley. A trolley and a vinyl sheet, right? Why click his tongue at me? Let me explain. After Ishimaru's corpse vanished from the physics prep room, when we rediscovered it in the storage room, it was wrapped in a vinyl sheet, right? That same vinyl sheet had been in the physics prep room. When the culprit moved Ishimaru's corpse from the prep room, in order not to leave a trail of blood behind, he used one of the vinyl sheets there in the room. I understand how the vinyl sheet was used, but what about the trolley? Well, you see. When we discovered Ishimaru's body in the physics prep room, there was also a trolley in the room. But when the body disappeared, so did the trolley. And later, when we found Ishimaru's corpse again, this time in the art room's storage room, there was a trolley there too. In other words, you're trying to say the corpse was moved using the trolley. Are you sure you're not misremembering? Huh? Was the trolley actually in the physics prep room when Ishimaru's corpse was discovered there? The trolley is used to carry sculptures and the like in the art room, is it not? For it to have even been in the physics prep room in the first place is unusual. Are you not just mistakenly assuming it to have been moved when it was in the art storage room the whole time? There you have it, Naegi. So how will you respond? Don't worry about it, Naegi. Nobody's expecting anything from you anyway. It's just common knowledge that you misunderstand almost everything you come across. I can't say anyone's ever said that about me before, but in order to wipe that mark off my reputation, I've got to provide evidence that the trolley was used to transport Ishimaru's corpse to the art room. New element has been added to the MTB, and it is that now you have ammunition. What it is that you have like little bullets on the bottom part. Whenever you fire an assertion, it will take one of your bullets away, so occasionally you have to press square to reload. Alright, so I'm not interested. Alright, and focusizing time. There we go. Actually went a lot better than I thought it would. There is, in fact, evidence that shows that the trolley was moved. When I saw the trolley in the art room's storage room, there was blood on the tires. The puddle of blood on the floor in the physics prep room had tracks that matched those tires. When the culprit moved the body from the prep room, he must have accidentally rolled it through the blood. And with the blood still on the tires, he moved it to the storage room. There's your evidence that the trolley was used to move Ishimaru's body. Now Celeste is doing it too. Do I rub people the wrong way? Well, in the end, this is nothing but a footnote. Let's get back to the issue at hand, shall we? Yeah, you were saying how Justice Robo isn't the culprit. If the culprit isn't Justice Robo, then which Robo was it? Asahina, I think it best you do not concern yourself with Robos. Then let me spell it out for you. I'll explain why the so-called madman is not this incident's culprit. It should be readily apparent if we go back over just what happened when Ishimaru's corpse was moved. Evidence that the madman is not the culprit can be found in what happened when the body was moved? What does he mean by that? I think I know what he's getting at. Yeah. The culprit killed Ishimaru in the physics prep room, and then moved the corpse. He wrapped it in a vinyl sheet, put it on the trolley, and used that to move it. As I recall, that trolley doesn't have a handle. But even without a handle, you could just bend over. No, that's wrong! Just remember the Justice Robo suit. It doesn't bend at the back. You're not wrong in saying that. By bending down, you could move the trolley without a handle. But could you really put yourself in that position while wearing that costume? What do you mean? Think about it. Back when we were experimenting with the costume. I can't see a thing. I can't even see my feet. I'm surprised you managed to walk around with this on. Like I said, it wasn't me. And what's up with this? The back doesn't bend at all. That's a pretty big design flaw. When wearing that costume, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't bend your back either. Isn't that right, Asahina? Now that you mention it, yeah. Being unable to bend one's back, it would be difficult indeed to push a trolley without a handle. In which case, you could kick it. But if you couldn't see your feet, could you really kick the trolley to move it? Nope, I'm thinking not. Hell if I know what you're talking about, though. Plus, I have doubts that you could pull off the even more intricate task of wrapping the corpse in a sheet while wearing that restrictive costume. Couldn't you just take off the costume to move the body? No, it's not possible to remove the costume just to move the corpse. That's because you can't take it off yourself. It's hard to imagine that you'd take off the costume to move the body. I mean... I can't take it off. Why can't I take it off? Someone give me a hand, would you? I'd rather you refrain from building things you can't take off by yourself. I didn't build this thing! The clasp on the back appears to be what's preventing him from taking it off. It's sealed fairly tightly as well. Alright, fine, I'll give you a hand. Ah, yes. The costume could neither be put on nor removed by one's own strength. Could he really not have taken off by himself? Hakakori wasn't just lying to us, was he? It wasn't a lie! If he could have taken it off by himself, he wouldn't have shown up still wearing it. That's like wearing a sign around his neck saying, I did it! Yeah, exactly, dude. Then it's true that Justice Robo couldn't have moved the trolley? Which means the person who transported the corpse using the trolley could not have been Hagakure. No, hold on a minute, please. Have you all forgotten about the photograph I took? You've all seen it, as I recall. The photograph of Yamada being dragged away by the madman. If the madman is not the culprit, then just what is it I witnessed? Further, we have testimony from Yamada himself, one of the victims. How'd you get those wounds? I was felled by him. by him.
Justice Robo. I dubbed him such just moments ago. As long as we have these facts, we can only draw one logical conclusion. The culprit is the madman, Hagakure, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, she's right.
Just wait.
It's still too early to draw a conclusion. Besides, we don't have to cast our ballots right this second. Before that, wouldn't it be our benefit to at least discuss some other possibilities? It's easier to see the truth when you look at things from multiple angles and don't bind yourself to one.
But what specifically should we do?
Let's try going back over the sequence of events from the start. In doing so, we may uncover something new. What a pain in the ass!
Our lives are on the line. A little bit of inconvenience is unavoidable.
Plus, we can use this opportunity to explain things for Kirigiri, since she wasn't there when it happened.
Very well. Then let us go back to the beginning. It started this morning. This morning, it was only Asahina, Kirigiri, Naegi, and I who assembled in the cafeteria. For as long as we waited, no one else came. Thus we decided to search for the other students. That was around 8 a.m.
Immediately after we split up, Kirigiri went missing.
Finding Celeste in the third-floor recreation room, Asahina quickly reconvened with Naegi and I.
I had been attacked by a madman and lost consciousness for around an hour. Which means I was attacked about an hour before you found me. Just after 7.
At that time, we learned from Celeste's photo that the madman was dressed in an unusual costume. Justice Robo. At the time, additionally, we discovered that Yamada had been dragged off by the very same Justice Robo. We began our search for the madman, met with Fukawa and Togami, and then found Yamada injured in the library. After escorting Yamada to the infirmary on the first floor, we resumed our search. Then, just after we left the infirmary,
Yeah, she saw Justice Robo. Kasumi Saga's voice is just murder enough for my throat.
based on Celeste's sighting, we all went to the second floor and split up to look for the madman. And not long after that,
I saw the madman on the 3rd floor and immediately shouted to inform everyone. What happened, Celeste?
That was a rather exaggerated cry coming from you. Oh yeah, well, she shouted, ran off down to the physics prep room. And yet again, just moments after that...
Yeah!
Huh? Yes. Hifumi was attacked. So we split into 2 groups. Celeste, Asahina, and I returned to the infirmary, and Ogami, Togami, and Fukawa went after the madman on the 3rd floor. There in the infirmary, we discovered Yamada's dead body, and at that time we heard the corpse discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Asahina behind and returned to the 3rd floor to report the bad news.
However, at the same time, we had just found Ishimaru's corpse in the physics prep room. Yamada and Ishimaru's corpses were likely discovered at nearly the same time. I too heard the corpse discovery announcement immediately after we found Ishimaru's body. Then I informed Ogami and Togami about Yamada's murder, and the 3 of us headed for the infirmary together. But just after we left the physics lab, we heard surprising news from Celeste, who had come upstairs after me. Yes, Yamada's corpse disappeared. We hurried back to the infirmary, and Yamada's body was gone. After that, remembering we had forgotten about Fukawa, we all returned to the prep room. And Ishimaru's corpse was gone. This time, it was Ishimaru's corpse that had disappeared.
What the hell?
We quickly set out to search for the 2 missing bodies.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, and then after some time searching,
Hearing Celeste had found the corpses, we all headed for the art storage room. And there we rediscovered the 2 missing bodies. And that's everything that happened.
I see. It seems that this incident is fairly convoluted. I don't think we'll shed much light by examining this as a series of incidents.
Then, what should we do?
Rather than a series of incidents, try thinking of them as individual incidents. From there, you'll be able to see the contradictions in these incidents. Let's begin right away. First, let's start with Ishimaru. To reach the truth of this case, we must, at all costs, uncover the contradictions hidden in Ishimaru's murder. Discussion heat up! Monokuma File 3. I think that's going to be of use to us. First of all, Ishimaru was Ishimaru killed before Yamada? Or was it after? We know what order they were killed in. Ishimaru was killed later. Why do you think that? The numbers on the Justice Hammers. Yamada was killed with hammer number 3, and Ishimaru was killed with Justice Hammer number 4. See? Ishimaru was obviously killed later. Well, yes, the Justice Hammers were assigned numbers. Were they really used in that order? After... we know what order. Oh, fucking hell. Stupid white noise got in the way. Oh, just barely got that. Okay. After... yeah. Concentration. No, that's wrong! Had to use my concentration. Okay. No, it's not necessarily the case that they were killed in the same order as the hammers were numbered. In fact, wouldn't it make sense if that was all just a diversion by the culprit? If the numbers on the Justice Hammers were a diversion by the culprit, then in reality Ishimaru was killed first and Yamada was killed after that? If that's the case, could you present some evidence? Evidence that shows Ishimaru was killed before Yamada. I need something to show his time of death. In case you can't guess what it is, it's something that Ishimaru had on him that can prove what time he died. Oh, thank God, it's so much shorter in this one. Ishimaru's watch. That's right! Ishimaru's wristwatch! Look at this, it's broken, and the hands were pointing to just after 6 when it stopped. It was likely broken when he was attacked by the culprit. After all, when we saw him last night. Hey, how long you plan on making us wait? Ishimaru looked down at his wristwatch irritably and raised his voice further. It's almost 10 o'clock! That's bedtime for all the good little boys and girls! Given his watch wasn't broken last night, there's no mistaking he was attacked at 6 this morning. In short, that's the time Ishimaru was killed. But if he was killed at 6 this morning, it happened much before Yamada was murdered. And even before Celeste was first attacked. A little after 7. Yes, Ishimaru's murder happened before any of the other incidents. We made the wrong assumption. Because of those Justice Hammers, we wrongly assumed the order of things that happened. The culprit intentionally numbered the weapons, and had them increase in size as well. So we would assume the incidents occurred according to the Hammer's numbers. Furthermore, if we assume Ishimaru was murdered just after 6, then nobody has an alibi for his murder. Reason being, he was murdered before we met up in the cafeteria. That is the case for Ishimaru's murder. But everyone has an alibi for the time when Yamada was murdered. Yeah, when Yamada was killed. Yeah, we were all together when he screamed, except for 2 people. When we heard Yamada scream from the infirmary, everyone but Hagakori and Kirigiri were together. Yeah, we were still at the infirmary. It's true, we've got alibis! I've got it! The culprit recorded the scream on the tape recorder and played it back later, dude! Hey, where's this tape recorder? Beats me. Don't just spew anything that comes to mind! In any event, when we heard Yamada scream, we all clearly had alibis. Which means nobody who was there with us could have killed Yamada. And not just Yamada's murder either. The subsequent disappearance of the corpse is the same. When Yamada's corpse disappeared from the infirmary, Asahina and I were together in the restroom, and everyone else was in the physics prep room, yes?
and it was the same time when Ishimaru's corpse disappeared from the prep room. At that time, we were all gathered in the infirmary because of the disappearance of Yamada's corpse. And I was all by myself, sleeping like a baby, in the physics prep room.
They couldn't genocide or remove Dish's corpse? Even if she could have relocated Ishimaru's corpse, she couldn't have moved Yamada's from the infirmary. When Yamada's corpse went missing, she was still unconscious in the prep room.
Course I didn't do either of them anyway. In short, none of us are capable of having committed Yamada's murder after relocating the corpses.
Or relocating corpses.
Looking at it another way, only Hagakure or Kirigiri who are accounted for, or unaccounted for, could have done it.
What now, Kirigiri?
This conversation is just going in circles trying to decide who done it. So rather than who did it, how about we try thinking about how they did it? I believe the method by which Yamada's corpse was moved is of particular importance.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I searched, I could never find an answer for how his body was moved. And what's more, according to Celeste... Yeah, they were only gone for a minute. Apparently his body disappeared in the span of a single minute, while Celeste and Asahina were away. But to move a body that large from the first floor to the art storage room on the third... No matter how you look at it, that just ain't possible, dude.
And what if I said there was a way to make that impossible feat possible? What? How?
Have the corpse move itself.
Huh? You mean the corpse could move on its own?
Another ghost! We're not talking about the supernatural. What that woman's trying to say is, there's a possibility that Yamada, whom we believe to be dead, was actually alive.
He was alive?
So Yamada was not transported from the infirmary, but moved himself with his own 2 legs?
Then what does that make the corpse we saw in the infirmary?
That was him pretending to be dead.
That's not possible.
Is it really possible that Yamada was actually alive? I just fucking love this theme, New World Order. Alright, another non-stop debate. I don't think Broken Wishwatch is going to help us either. Is it possible that when Yamada was first found in the infirmary... I can't read that. He was alive?
No, that can't be. Yamada was dead, without a doubt.
How can you be so sure?
You heard the corpse discovery announcement too.
The announcement was made because we discovered Yamada's corpse.
What else could it have been?
Is that really so? Perhaps someone else's corpse triggered that announcement? At that time, only one corpse discovery announcement was made. On top of that, Yamada's and Ishimaru's corpses were discovered at almost the exact same time. Yamada's corpse had been found. Nope! No, that's wrong, Celeste! Was that corpse discovery announcement actually triggered by the discovery of Yamada's corpse?
Of course it was. We heard the announcement immediately after finding Yamada's corpse.
But the people who found Ishimaru's corpse experienced the same thing. He's exactly right. We heard that announcement immediately upon discovering Ishimaru's corpse. What I'm saying is, aren't we confusing Ishimaru's corpse discovery announcement for Yamada's corpse discovery announcement? Had 2 corpses been discovered, there really should have been 2 announcements.
I imagine Monokuma was just being lazy and combined them both into a single announcement.
What do you have to say about that?
I don't want to step on anyone's toes, so I can't go into much detail. But I'll tell you this. A corpse discovery announcement only occurs when 3 or more humans first discover a dead body.
That doesn't tell us anything, dude. We want to know if you were lazing out on us. No, that was more than enough. Huh? He said it only happens when we first discover a dead body. Which means no matter how many times we discover the same body, multiple announcements won't be made. That being so, what triggered that corpse discovery announcement?
That one? Which one?
Over the course of the day, we heard the corpse discovery announcement made twice. There were 2 corpse discovery announcements. The first one happened when we discovered both bodies in the infirmary and the prep room. And then the second one, when we rediscovered the bodies in the repository. Yeah, I'm just going to call the art storage room the repository this time. Well, from now on. The second corpse discovery announcement was made when we rediscovered the bodies in the repository. At the time, I didn't pay the announcement much mind, but doesn't it contradict what Monokuma just told us? If they're only made the first time a body is found, we wouldn't have heard one when we rediscovered them. Then of course, it has to be. What we thought was us rediscovering the corpses was, in reality, discovering one of them for the first time. Put simply, when Yamada was first found in the infirmary, he was not dead. And we rediscovered his corpse, in the true sense of the word. And we discovered his corpse, in the true sense of the word, in the repository. But that's not all. There's even more evidence suggesting Yamada was still alive in the infirmary.
Evidence? I know all about that. He was good at playing dead, that's all the evidence you need.
I would hardly call something so insignificant evidence. As I expected, there exists no evidence that he was actually alive. In that case, let's go back over once more the condition Yamada's body was in. I'm certain it'll all be clear to you then, whether he was alive or dead. I doubt anything will come of it. There's definitely some evidence Yamada was alive. I just need to show that evidence to everyone else. Yeah, that was pretty shaky. Yeah. We first discovered Yamada's corpse in the infirmary. But while Celeste and I were in the restroom, his body disappeared, and it was next discovered in the repository. But before he was moved and after he was moved, aside from his orientation, nothing changed about his body. No, that's wrong! His glasses were wiped clean, Celeste. There was a blatant difference between the Yamada in the infirmary and the Yamada in the repository. His glasses. And that should be more than enough evidence to show that Yamada was playing dead in the infirmary. Would you mind explaining yourself? When we first found Yamada's body in the infirmary, his glasses were covered in blood. But when we found him dead in the art storage room, his glasses were clean. Furthermore, I found something in the infirmary's trash can I believe was used to wipe off the blood. Infirmary's trash can, it was the bloody glasses cloth. I found a glasses cloth in the infirmary's trash can. From the blood stain here on the cloth, we can deduce that this glasses cloth was used to wipe the blood off Yamada's glasses. On top of that, the character on this cloth is the same one on that digital camera, see? The digital camera Yamada brought in with him. Princess Buko from Heretical Angel Super Squishy Princess, right? I can't imagine anyone other than Yamada who would have a glasses cloth like this. The only people who wear glasses are. I wouldn't be caught dead with that plebeian filth.
A tissue's all I need to clean my glasses.
And there's no doubt about it. This glasses cloth belongs to Yamada. I see. So where's that put us, dude? What it means is that Yamada's glasses cloth was used to clean the blood off his glasses. But even so, that doesn't necessarily mean he did it himself. Think about it for a second. What benefit is a clean pair of glasses except to the person wearing them? You make a fair point. So Yams really did do it himself? In which case, that means Yamada was still alive when he was found in the infirmary. And after using his own glasses cloth to wipe the blood from his own glasses, he left the room on his own 2 legs. The formerly impossible task of moving Yamada's corpse doesn't seem so implausible anymore, does it? But if he was just playing dead in the infirmary, then where'd all the blood come from? Could it have been pain or something? The infirmary's refrigerator is stocked with blood for transfusions. In all likelihood, that's what he used.
I'm guessing he went way overboard, splattering the blood everywhere, and was getting ready when he was getting ready. And that's why I needed to clean his glasses. Oh, you're such a ditz, Hiffy.
Furthermore, if Yamada was alive at the time, we can also explain the disappearance of Ishimaru's corpse. It's obvious now who moved his corpse. The one who moved Ishimaru's corpse was Yamada. Yamada did it, didn't he? So while we were all gathered in the infirmary, he was moving Ishimaru to the physics prep lab. If that's the case, we can also explain why the art storage room's door was locked.
The storage room was locked?
After the two guys' bodies disappeared, we all went searching for them, right?
Well, me and Sakura went straight to the art room then.
And the door to the storage room was locked. On top of that, the door's lock is such that it can only be set from inside the storage room. In other words, when Asahina and Ogami were in this art room, someone else was in the art storage room. Which would mean that was Yamada, just after he finished transporting Ishimaru's body. By faking his death, Yamada was able to slip under the radar and bring Ishimaru to the storage room, meaning he wasn't simply a victim in this incident, but a perpetrator. But to think one of the victims would himself be involved in the crime.
No way.
I don't believe it. If it's that hard to believe, then I could show you another piece of evidence.
There's still more?
Yes. The most conclusive evidence of Yamada's involvement has yet to make an appearance. You know what it is, don't you, Nagi? The item Yamada stole from the victim, Ishimaru. The item stolen from Ishimaru. Wait, does she mean Yamada's hidden note? You're talking about the note Yamada had hidden on himself, aren't you, Kirigiri? Hidden on himself? We found it in his underwear when investigating his body.
Inside? His underwear?
His underwear. I see. Putting the whole underwear business aside, how about we take a look at what the note says? I found a hole, like a secret path. Can see the outside. Probably a way out. It would be bad if Monokuma found out, so don't talk to anyone. Meet in the physics prep room at 6 a.m.
Ah, that's the note I was telling you about, dude. The culprit lured me out using...
Hold on a sec. It's not quite the same.
The note I got said, "It would be bad if Monokuma found out, so don't talk to anyone. Meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
That's right. This is a completely different note from the one you received, Hagakure.
Completely... different?
What I'm saying is, in addition to Hagakure, one other person was called on by the culprit. And the other person, the one who received this note, was Taka. Well, Ishimaru. Yes, it was Ishimaru. The person who received this note was the deceased Ishimaru.
Ahem! Objection! Objection! I'm still not sure what you're getting at. Did you say that Hiffy had that? That means it was Hiffy, not Kitty, who the note was summoning.
By Kitty you mean Ishimaru, and by Hiffy you mean Yamada, right?
No shit, Sherlock! You'll need to explain every little thing!
Yikes, Genocider can be downright terrifying. But I can't back down now.
Hiffy had the note, didn't he? Then that note was obviously meant for Hiffy!
Think back on the contents of the note. What time did the note specify they meet? 6 in the morning.
Who cares what time it said? It has nothing to do with Kitty.
There we go. If I fired enough, it would have worked eventually.
No, they are connected.
Huh? What you yammering on about, kid?
The meeting time mentioned in this note, 6 a.m., which is... the meeting time mentioned in the note is 6 a.m., which is the same time Ishimaru was killed, as his wristwatch showed us. That's not all. There's also the meeting place specified in the note. The physics prep room. Ah, yes, That's where Ishimaru was murdered. So in other words, Ishimaru was killed at the time and in the place given in this note. Isn't that sufficient evidence that Ishimaru was the intended recipient of this note?
I see, if that's how it was. No objections. Gah!
So Ish was deceived by that note, just like me. Gah, what an abhorrent, cold-hearted, abominably inhuman dude, luring us out with the temptation of outside.
But hold on, why did Yamada have the note if Ishimaru was the recipient? And in his undies.
That has to be because Yamada pried it from Ishimaru's dead hands.
What? He took it?
And what evidence do you have of this? Go on, say it. The evidence showing Yamada took the note from Ishimaru during his death. After his death. When Kirigiri and I were investigating Yamada's body, we found a scrap of paper clenched in his hand. If my suspicions are correct, then the torn part of this scrap of paper... Just as I thought, it matches the note Yamada had. The scrap of paper Ishimaru was holding onto and the note Yamada was hiding. Exactly. They're both the same sheet of paper. Ishimaru held a fragment of the note he'd supposedly received, while Yamada possessed the remainder. There's only one way to explain this situation. Ishimaru died with the note tight in his hand, Yamada attempting to rob him of it. Mistakenly left a corner of the page in Ishimaru's grip. Is that what you are suggesting? In which case, that means that Yamada knew the note was an important piece of evidence. Yes, and that in itself is evidence of Yamada's involvement. I see. The stars are aligned, dude. There's no question. Yams was inextricably involved in this incident. In essence, Yams is alive right now, and he's the culprit, dude. No, that can't be. Yamada was definitely dead when we found him in the repository. The second corpse discovery announcement we heard serves as testament to that.
Then who killed Yamada?
The true culprit. He was likely murdered where we found their bodies, in the repository, just after moving Ishimaru. Then he was murdered in the span of time between Ishimaru's disappearance and when we found the bodies. At that time, we had all split up to search for the missing corpses, which is to say, nobody has an alibi for Yamada's murder.
But me and Sakura were together. Have a little shame, would you fatuous whale? Who are you calling a fat whale?
Anyway, dudes, yeah, the time of death is an issue, but we've got an even bigger problem than that.
An even bigger problem, you say?
What kind of weapon was used to kill Yams? Weapon? I mean, look at this. The Monokuma file says, Ish and Yams had their heads split open in a similar way, and with similar weapons. But dude, Justice Hammer number 3 and number 4 were left in the infirmary in the physics prep room, you know? If Yams was killed in the repository, wouldn't that mean the culprit went back and got one of those hammers off Yams, then returned the hammer to the room where it came from? But isn't that a little too risky? Now there's a surprise. You've actually got something other than air in that skull of yours. I'll have you know it's packed to the brim, dude. Hagakure is correct. That does indeed pose a problem. The Monokuma file says the two of them were killed with similar weapons. But hammers 3 and 4 remained in the rooms that they were originally found.
Then how do you propose the culprit went about carrying off one of those hammers?
I can't even imagine the possibility. Oh god. I'm tired now.
Then what about Justice Hammer 1 or 2? The ones used to attack Celeste and Yamada?
They too remained in the rooms we found them, and anyway, they don't look like they have lethal force.
Then...
Isn't it possible something else was used as the murder weapon? There's no way it could have been anything else. They were killed with similar weapons. In which case, what was the weapon used to murder Yamada? Unless we can figure out what was used to actually kill Yamada, we'll never be able to reach the truth behind these crimes. So I've got to do whatever I can to answer that question. I used, the wash hammer. Was the murder weapon Justice Hammer number 3 or Justice Hammer number 4?
In either case, how did the culprit manage to bring his chosen weapon to the scene? Furthermore, to do so without being seen, presenting Justice Hammer number 5. Visit our website for more info.
Anywho, all we figured out is one of the two hammers is the murder weapon. No, that's wrong, hero. Or Hagakore. Fucking English. I'm using English names now. I'll always switch between English and Japanese names. The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer, but some other weapon. But what other weapon? The hammers in the art storage room. Couldn't the culprit used one of them? Plus, all of the hammers in the art storage room were covered in bits of stone and dust. Except for one, which for some reason had been washed. It was washed? I'm certain the hammer was washed because it was the true weapon used to kill Yamada. The culprit took the time to wash the hammer and get rid of the blood that had gotten on it. On top of that, there's an array of hammers of all sizes hanging on the wall in the art storage room. And several of those hammers were missing. Couldn't the justice hammers themselves have been made using those hammers as a base? If so, it satisfies the condition that they were killed with similar weapons. Just after bringing Ishimaru's body to the art storage room, Yamada was killed with one of those hammers.
And the true culprit, the person who made Yamada their accomplice and then betrayed him, did it. No, hold on just a minute. We already discussed this. An accomplice has nothing to gain given the rules set concerning the graduation from the Academy. In other words, it's not possible that there was an accomplice, and you should perish the thought. Accomplices are out of the question. She's right, that should have been the case. It should have been, but... According to the rules, when a collaborative crime is committed, only the person who performs the murder can make it out alive, which means there is no chance of there being an accomplice.
Indeed, you are correct.
But that assumes only one crime took place. In this case, 2 crimes occurred. So that's not possible, but... then again, there are 2 crimes.
No, that's wrong! But 2 separate crimes occurred. So does it really count as a collaborative effort? What do you mean by that?
Naturally, having an accomplice is only out of the question in the case of there being a single crime. One murder can save only one person. By adding an accomplice, you throw the scales off balance.
Throw the scales off balance?
It's a matter of risk versus reward. In other words, the remuneration must be enough to offset the danger. There's no point in co-conspiring a murder if you too won't be saved. On the other hand, if you balance the scales, it's not impossible to perform a mutually beneficial partnership. 2 culprits committing 2 separate murders, assisting each other in their own respective crimes.
The true culprit proposed...
What am I doing? That's Kyoko. The true culprit proposed this plan to Yamada in order to gain his cooperation in their crime. Most likely, Yamada was the one who killed Ishimaru. By committing his murder, Yamada lost his escape route and was forced to help the culprit commit theirs. In short, what happened today wasn't a serial murder at the hands of a single culprit, but 2 separate murders by 2 separate culprits. And the fact that it was made to look like a serial murder was all the misdirection by the culprit. The disguised madman, the similar weapons, the body's disappearance. By giving them these commonalities, the culprit made it seem as though only one crime had taken place. The culprit proposed this plan, secured his accomplice's cooperation, and in the end eliminated the biggest obstacle to his own success by murdering that accomplice, which means betraying Yamada was part of the plan from the get-go. What the heck? That's the most despicable thing I've ever heard. Really? I think it was a fairly solid plan. Well, aside from their choice of accomplice. The most important characteristic of this incident was the fact that the 2 crimes were disguised as one. I'm also positive Kirigiri had that figured out from the beginning. That's why she told us to think of the murders as separate incidents and not serial murder. You're outstanding, Kirigiri.
maybe a little too much so. Almost unbelievably so. I accept the existence of an accomplice. Now the question begs, who is the one manipulating Yamada?
That is the question.
The true culprit. The person who controlled Yamada and set the stage for the two murders. Everything we've discussed up to this point, every detail of this crime, taking all of it together, there's only one person it could be. And if you're confused at this point, think. Who else besides Yamada and Ishimaru has something to do with, and Hiro, has something to do with Robo-Justice? It's fairly simple if you think about it. The culprit of this case is Celeste. Celeste.
Oh dear, have I done something suspicious? You wound me, but enough with the jokes.
You think he's joking?
Then you're saying Yamada and I work together. Goodness me. To think that Yamada and I could work together. Not a chance in hell, you shit for brains! Who in their right mind would work with that gutless coward? Excuse me.
I'll have you know, we do have evidence.
Evidence?
Yes, the two of you, and only you, did something in particular over the course of the incident. And that's the evidence that the two of you were working together. Something Yamada and Celeste did. Could it be that they witnessed the madman? I don't think it was the third one. Yamada and Celeste were the only two people who ever witnessed the madman. Isn't that right? Until Kirigiri found Hagakure in the Justice Robo suit by the pool. Nobody else saw him. I don't need your help. I'm sorry. It's just as Naegi says. Yamada and Celeste were the only two to witness the madman. Given one of the two witnesses was also a culprit, it naturally casts a doubt on the other's testimony.
It was all a lie?
After finding Yamada injured and bringing him to the infirmary, we all set out to search for the madman. Recall what Celeste said the moment we began. Yep, she saw something moving at the top of the stairs. And because of what she claimed she saw, we all moved to the second floor. Then, in order to lead us to the physics lab, Celeste shouted from the third floor. And what did Celeste say when we regrouped on the third floor? Yep, she saw him. And after directing us towards the physics lab, it was her partner's turn to act.
That was so we could split into two groups and find both of the corpses at the same time?
And Celeste was the one who suggested we split up.
In that case, let's split into two groups.
I'm staying up here. It'll be more fun.
The Naegyasi...
Why am I reading this again? How's that? With Celeste and Yamada working together, every coincidence becomes a cog in the machine. And as an aside, that overblown shout of yours. That also served as a signal for Yamada, did it not? A signal saying, "I've arrived at the third floor, just as planned." Start screaming. That's why you shouted so loudly it could be heard throughout the entire school, is it not? And then, when we found Yamada, who was also playing dead in the infirmary, what you said then was also suspicious. You were the first one to say he was killed, were you not, Celeste? By saying that, you made us believe that Yamada was actually dead.
No way. I can't believe it. Celeste was acting the entire time?
When Yamada's body disappeared, you and Celeste were together, weren't you, Asahina?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling very good, so Celeste helped me to the restroom. Ah! Then that was...
She wasn't trying to help you, Asahina. She was creating an opportunity for Yamada to escape. By themselves, they all seem like small things, but put them all together, and it starts raising flags. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
Whatever might you be referring to?
Feigning ignorance won't save you. You made a critical mistake.
A mistake?
When you first said it, I didn't give it much thought. But now I can say with certainty, that was you making a fatal mistake. And what would that be? After we heard Yamada's corpse going missing and returned to the infirmary, you said this. I too heard those words, but what about them do you believe to be suspicious? Remember, it was you, Fukawa, and I who discovered Ishimaru's corpse in the physics prep room. After that, we heard from Naegi that Yamada had been murdered, and you, Naegi, and I left the prep room. We ran to Celeste when we stepped out into the infirmary. We stepped out into the hallway, and the four of us headed to the infirmary. Not one of us said a word about Ishimaru's death before we arrived at the infirmary. When you think about it like that, Celeste's comment seems extremely out of the ordinary. Excessively so. All this about her comment being out of the ordinary. I'm not really sure what you're getting at. Hey Celeste, everyone's confused. Repeat what you said word for word, for everyone's sake. If you're not the culprit, then there's no problem, is there? What's Tonami talking about? When he says something Celeste said was out of the ordinary. Now stop debate. This is what I said. It's like he's playing games. He's enjoying watching us run around. Confused and afraid. At this rate, we'll all be killed. We'll be killed like them. And that's all. Do you understand now? What's so unnatural about what she said? When Celeste said that, she only should have known about Yamada's death. Which means the problematic statement is... That's right. Whoops. Fucking hell. Now I gotta go back through it all again, because I fucked up. We'll all be killed. Just like them. No, that's wrong! That's right. There's no way you should have said, we'll be killed like them, Celeste. Because at that point, we hadn't told you about what happened to Ishimaru. Plus, we met up with you in the hallway after we left the physics lab. So you didn't even have an opportunity to see the body for yourself in the prep room. And yet, despite all that, why did you know that it wasn't just him who had been killed, but them? And I'll be right back, guys. I just need to take a little break. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Alright. That it wasn't just him who had been killed, but them? The text? Okay. Fucking hell. Oh, here we go. You all have quite the active imaginations, don't you? Imagination, you say? Did you not just say every time I claimed to have witnessed the madman, I was lying? In that case, what does that make this photograph? How do you intend to explain the photograph I took of the madman carrying Yamada away? It's a fake? Like Celeste put the costume on, then used the camera's timer to take the shot. Have you forgotten? Only you're able to wear that costume, Hagakore. Furthermore, that digital camera does not have a timer. Therefore, it is an unequivocal truth that the madman abducted Yamada. If you wish to discredit my testimony, then please, explain this picture for me. First of all, is that actually a photograph of the madman abducting Yamada? What do you mean by that? I am saying it's possible that the madman didn't abduct Yamada, but that something entirely different happened. No such possibility exists. That something else happened? If the picture isn't of Yamada being abducted by Justice Robo, then what's actually happening is the exact opposite. That's not a picture of Yamada being abducted by the madman, but of Yamada abducting the madman. You can't deny the possibility. The one being abducted in that picture is not Yamada, but the madman. And we just wrongly assumed Yamada was the one being abducted. That peculiar costume was probably used for the express purpose of inviting that misinterpretation. Anyone would assume, seeing someone dressed like that, that they were the suspicious party. And that's how you made me into a suspect while I was zonked out. That's preposterous. Yamada abducted the madman? That's not possible. Is it really not possible? That's not what I think. In that case, allow me to give you proof that it could not be possible. Does there really exist proof that it's not possible for Yamada to have abducted the madman? Ooh. While I was knocked out, you made me wear that suit. And had Yams carry me. That's how you made everyone suspect me. I told you, that's not possible. The madman in this picture is standing up straight. If the person inside were unconscious, then he wouldn't be able to hold himself up like that. No, that's wrong! No. Even if the person inside were unconscious, they could still be standing upright, thanks to a special characteristic of that Robo-Justice costume. The back doesn't bend at all. That's a pretty big design flaw. Oh yeah, the costume's design flaw. The back doesn't bend at all. But I wonder, was it actually a design flaw in the first place? Perhaps it was intentionally made that way for the sake of being able to take that photograph. By dressing an unconscious Hagakure in a suit with a rigid back, Celeste and Yamada were able to fabricate that photo. So we'd believe that it really was a madman. And that would be checkmate. Checkmate? You fucking kidding me, you cretins? Huh? This is not checkmate! Celeste? It seems you guys are dead set on setting me up as the culprit, but that's a pretty big mistake. Are your memories shot? Have you forgotten about Yamada's dying words? When asked the culprit's name, Yamada gave a clear answer, did he not? He said the culprit's name is Yasuhiro. That is to say, Yasuhiro Hagakure! Yasuhiro Hagakure! My name isn't Yasuhiro. It's actually Tarosuke. You needlessly complicate things by telling such inexplicable lies. But is the Yasuhiro Yamada mentioned actually referring to Hagakure? What are you saying, bitch? Die in a fire! What do you mean by that, Kirigiri? Remember, the way Yamada spoke of each of us. When referring to us, how did he say our names? He used our... He used our full names, that's right. Forgot they changed it in the Japanese version. That's right! Yamada referred to everyone using their full names! For example, he called you Master Makoto Naegi. Therefore, had Yamada been trying to name Hagakure, he would have said Master Yasuhiro Hagakure, but instead he said Master Yasuhiro. It was happenstance he was trying to say Hagakure and mixed up the order. That's all. Like a bad waiter? Silence. For him to have slipped up just that one time is quite the convenient interpretation for you. It was no coincidence. As he always did, Yamada was trying to refer to the culprit by full name, in order. But in his dying breaths, he was only able to make out a few sounds of the first name. Then Yamada was trying to name someone whose last name was Yasuhiro. But there's no one here with that last name. No. Hold on. There's one person it could be. Celeste. You've never once told us your real name.
Pardon me? It's funny how far you think you can take these baseless accusations. Would you kindly stop spouting this nonsense? There's not a chance in hell I'd have some lame-ass last name. Like Yasuhiro! Off with your head!
Then tell us, Celeste, what is your real name?
Fine. Clean out your damn ears and listen real careful. My real name is Celestia Ludenberg, and I would kindly request that you stop making me repeat myself.
Celeste seems pretty hell-bent on maintaining her ruse, which means I gotta make her give it up. Gee, and where do you think those Electro IDs are gonna come in handy, guys? The person Yamada was trying to identify was someone whose last name is Yasuhiro. Only Celeste, who hasn't told us her real name, could have the surname Yasuhiro. As I've told you time and again, my name is Celestia Ludenberg! How long do you intend to keep this up?
The only thing I'm keeping up is the truth. Unless you can show otherwise.
No, that's wrong! That's right, our Electro IDs! Huh? As I recall, when Electro ID boots up, it displays the owner's name, right? That's what Monokuma told us when he handed them out. And we don't need to flash back that far. In other words, by checking her Electro ID, we can answer the question of what Celeste's real name is.
That's an invasion of my privacy. I will not allow it.
Celeste, isn't it about time you started telling the truth? The whole truth.
I'm not the type to fold, even going up against a royal flush. Because until all the cards have been laid out on the table, there's no saying what might happen.
In that case, I'll lay everything out for you. Let's return to the beginning one last time, and there, I'll reveal every last one of your crimes, and put an end to this charade. Alright, and unlike last time, I'm actually gonna cut this out for you guys, so I'll see you guys when we begin the climax logic. Here's exactly what happened. As the first step in preparing for this crime, the culprit joined forces with a certain person. Ew, that face. Yamada. By making Yamada their accomplice, the culprit was able to execute this series of crimes. The first thing they did was invite a certain person to the rec room last night at 1 AM. And that person was Hagakure. The culprits called Hagakure there so they could frame their crimes on him. First they drugged him. Then they dressed the unconscious Hagakure in the Justice Robo costume. Yamada pretended to be held captive by Justice Robo, and the culprit photographed him. All for the sake of fabricating evidence of a madman, casting suspicion onto Hagakure. After that, the culprit shut Hagakure, still out cold, in the locker by the pool. And at long last, 6 AM rolled around, and the culprits moved to the murder phase of their plan. They summoned Ishimaru to the physics prep room. And there, Yamada committed the first murder, by killing Ishimaru. The weapon he used was Justice Hammer number 4, the hammer we found in the physics prep room. The use of hammer number 4 for the first murder was a red herring intended to confuse the order of events. The next thing the culprit and Yamada did was fake having been attacked. In doing so, they set themselves up as victims, and directed suspicion at Justice Robo. The first faked attack was in the rec room. By showing us Justice Hammer number 1 in the Justice Robo photograph, the culprit convinced us that the attack was real. And then there was the second fake, and the attack in the library. Was constructed with Yamada's injury and Justice Hammer number 2. In manufacturing and showing us these two incidents, the culprits planted a certain notion in our heads. That the mysterious madman was attacking people using progressively larger hammers. In carrying out that misconception, we all set out to find the madman as quickly as possible. When we did, we left Yamada in the infirmary, all by himself. That was exactly what Yamada wanted, left unattended in the infirmary. He made use of the transfusion bags in the fridge and Justice Hammer number 3 to fake his own death, to make it appear as though he had been murdered. Hearing Yamada's scream, we returned to the infirmary and found him there, on the stage of his murder. On top of that, at the very same time, Ishimaru's corpse was discovered in the physics prep room. And because of the corpse discovery announcement that triggered, we mistakenly assumed Yamada to be dead. Having successfully deceived us, Yamada waited for the moment everyone was out of the infirmary, and slipped away. After learning of Yamada's disappearance, we hurriedly regrouped in the infirmary. By making use of that hole in our defenses, Yamada snuck into the physics prep room. Wrapped Ishimaru's corpse in a vinyl sheet and transported it to the repository on the trolley. And that's the truth behind the case of the disappearing corpses. But Yamada still didn't know the extent of the culprit's true plan. That he'd been manipulated. The true endgame to the culprit's plan was the murder of their accomplice, Yamada, using one of the hammers in the yard storage room. That covers everything from this case, and the one who created and executed the plan was... Celeste, you lose. Lose? I lose? How long has it been since I last heard those words? They're powerful words. So you admit it? That you're the culprit? My goodness. You could at least do me the favor of using my real name. Celestia Ludenberg. Or rather, you can call me Taiko Yasuhiro. Taiko Yasuhiro? You've finally given up your facade, huh? I'm not such a sore loser as to go down kicking and screaming when defeat catches up to me. I see. And thus, the trial is over. The one who killed Ishimaru was Yamada, and the one who killed Yamada was Celeste. Monokuma, would you kindly begin? No. Would you kindly end this? You talking about the event we've all been waiting for? Ballot time? Sure, why not? Let's get rolling. Okay, you guys, please cast your ballot using the switch in front of you. So, what'll your verdict be? Who's tonight's villain? Will it be right, or will it be oh so wrong? What could it be? This probably goes without saying, but you guys hit the jackpot. This round's villain, and the one who pulled all the strings, is Celestia Ludenberg, aka Taiko Yasuhiro. I have no choice but to fold. How terribly unfortunate. It seems from the very beginning I was mistaken in colluding with anyone.
I severely underestimated just how bird-brained Yamada could be. So it was you who proposed the partnership to Yamada. But how did you convince him to get on board? I can't imagine he would agree to commit murder so easily. She's a professional liar. Couldn't have been that difficult. Goodness me. A professional liar? It was hardly anything extraordinary, I assure you. Then you used that? Nothing gets past you, Kirigiri. Yes, it's just as you imagined. To bring Yamada under my control. I made use of that. For the sake of those whose lives are spared, I must regrettably speak in riddles, but I am referring to which the object both Yamada and Ishimaru had grown quite fond of. You mean alter ego, right?
What's this? What's this? What you guys talking about?
We're in the middle of some important business. Don't interfere.
Me always black sheep. Me sad.
Then you were the one who stole it, weren't you?
Yes, that is correct.
In using it, you roped Yamada into cooperating with you.
Again, you are correct.
Last night after we dispersed from our little meeting, I paid Yamada's room a visit.
Is there something you need?
I have information you would like to know. About the theft of a certain item. I know who the culprit is.
Huh?
Ishimaru. He stole it.
Yeah?
I have proof as well. Would you like to see it? And then I showed him on the digital camera a photograph of the very thing in Ishimaru's bedroom that I prepared before visiting him. Of course, I deleted it right away.
As I thought, 'twas him! But how? It was supposed to signal if here I approached it.
Which is why Ishimaru forced me to take it.
What?
Please forgive me. Ishimaru threatened me.
He threatened you?
Last night, Ishimaru suddenly came to my bedroom. What happened then pains me to recall. He forcibly...
What?
He even took pictures and said if I didn't help him, he would show them to everyone else. I'm sorry. I had no choice.
He is a criminal! An unabashed criminal! That monster! I knew he'd fallen off the deep end. But I never imagined he would go this far!
Oh, Yamada. Such an easy mark. It's like he was born to be deceived.
I speak these words for the first time in my life. I'll kill him! I'll annihilate Ishimaru!
Please wait. If you go now, you'll be walking straight into his trap.
His trap?
Ishimaru is planning to escape from this place, using what he stole, and his sights are set on you.
He's planning to escape? Then could it be...
Ishimaru intends to kill you, yes.
What?
Also, he can keep it for himself.
That monster! Monster, 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 monster!
Are you comfortable letting such a barbarian continue to run free?
I will not let him run free. I will save her!
In that case, would you join forces? I just so happen to have a plan for such an occasion.
Huh?
A very special method that would allow us to not only retrieve it, but also to escape from this academy. And that concludes my flashback.
To whom are you speaking?
Don't worry about it.
Fourth wall!
Yamada agreed right away. The effect that item had was quite considerable. The power of love, however twisted that love may be, is a corrupting force.
It's no holds barred playing with you, dudette. While we're at it, was Yamada the one responsible for that ridiculous costume?
Yes, and it caused so much more trouble than I bargained for. I quite simply asked him to prepare something that could be used to disguise one's face and posture. I had no idea who would prepare something like that, further solidifying my poor choice in accomplices.
And why'd you try to frame it all on me, dude?
Because you're an imbecile.
That's it?
You, on the other hand, were perfect. Your stupidity far exceeded my expectations, and was of great help. Though I feel sorry for your parents.
I'm crying on the inside, dude.
Though when we were going over the plan with Yamada, how did you explain him having to play dead?
You mean what Yamada was supposed to do when it was revealed he wasn't actually dead?
This is what I said to Yamada. When you show yourself again, having pretended to be dead, say, I was on the verge of death, but my wounds were not fatal. And Yamada believed that? That wasn't all, of course. In the plan I presented to Yamada, I was supposed to kill someone else while he was being questioned. In doing so, he would have an alibi and be free of suspicion. He believed every word.
One of the oldest tricks in the book.
I just told a lie at his level. In truth, he didn't even question me. He believed that lie until the moment the hammer collided with his head.
So you truly intended to betray him from the very beginning?
Naturally. Under this plan, the final death of a person who was feigning death would prove to be quite the boon. Just how little do you value human life? Less than a shard of a broken poker chip. I was simply doing whatever it took to win.
You sound like Togs, dude.
In his case, this truly is a game. I don't think we can be compared that way. In that case, what drove you to go this far? Was it for the money? Are you talking about Monokuma's 10 billion yen? Well, that is a considerable amount. That was in no way my only reason. From the moment we began our wretched lives in this academy, I could think of nothing but getting out.
But weren't you always saying that we should accept our fates here?
Lying through my fucking teeth! Every waking moment, it was all I could do to endure this place. More than every last one of you. I wanted nothing more than to get out of this hellhole. You wanna know why? Do you? Because I have a dream. To live my whole life in this place was to throw away that dream. There's no way I could do something like that. My participation in underworld gambling tournaments, betting my life for enormous sums of money, it was all because of my dream.
What's your dream, Celeste?
To live in a European castle.
A castle?
And to surround myself with the most gorgeous men in the world, and dress them as vampires and make them into my own personal secret service, doubling as butlers, thus transforming my world into a world of perfect aesthetic decadence. My dream and my objective was to live out my life in that world. My life's work. Had I been able to add Monokuma's 10 billion yen to my underworld winnings, I could have achieved that. But that's as far as I made it. Regrettably, my dream has been shattered like a falling teacup. But I have no regrets. This is simply the result of me fighting for my dream until the end. You're passionate about your dream, but you seriously killed two of my friends just for that? Are you saying I should feel guilty? You're wasting your breath. I neither think anything nor feel anything about sacrificing others for my own sake. That is simply how I was made. Isn't it amazing how differences in morals can make a conversation so awkward? You took the words right out of my mouth. And how can you be so calm right now? Don't you get it? You're going to die. How can you not be afraid? I am quite proud to say that I am among the most talented of liars in existence. And not just to others. I can even deceive my own emotions. Not even consciously. Not even unconsciously, but consciously.
So you're not afraid?
No, I am not afraid. So please, kill me as many times as you'd like. However, should I ever be reborn, surely I will be reborn as Marie Antoinette.
If that happens, you'll just be executed again. That laugh coming from her somehow felt like a poor imitation. She said she could deceive her own emotions. However, that itself was probably her final lie. In the end, She couldn't even fake her own laughter.
You done yet? Alright, then let's get going. It's punishment time for the Order Disrupting Villain. I prepared a very special punishment for Celestia Ludenberg, the super duper high school roller. A high roller. Let's get this ball rolling. It's punishment time!
One last thing, Kirigiri. I'd like you to have this. Does that truly bring hope? I was never able to believe it would. And that's why... No, it needn't be said. Have a wonderful life, everyone. And may we meet again in our next. It's over. The third execution is over. Celeste's execution is over. I could never sympathize with Celeste for killing two of my friends, but even still, she too was a friend. Without even hesitating, he...
Quite the pickle indeed. Once again, people had to die because you guys can't let go of your connections to the outside world. You're still young. You should value your lives a little more. Sheesh, how long is it gonna be before you guys can finally bear the hope of the next generation?
I couldn't care less about hope. I withdraw my candidacy, so let me out!
It doesn't matter what you want. You guys are the embodiment of hope. And my preordained destiny is to drag you guys down to the depths of despair. Kinda sad, but there's no getting around it.
Cut the crap, would you? How long do you intend on putting us through this? Just what the hell is your objective?
God, you're boring. Could you maybe stop asking that same question? Anyways, Celeste gave you a key, didn't she, Kirigiri? What's it do, huh? 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 Was that?
Before I answer your question, you answer mine. What did you do? What did you do to my body?
What?
Answer me. What did you do to my body?
You're making me nervous. What did I do? What do you mean? I have no idea. Not a clue.
What? What are they talking about? The Puppet Master did something to Kirigiri's body? What does she mean by that?
Looks like sparks are starting to fly, so I'ma slip on out of here before things get bad. You guys continue enjoying life here at the Academy, okay? If you get lonely, call me anytime. I'm not coming, though. Catch you later.
And Monokuma disappeared, leaving us, stricken with despair, behind. However, our despair wasn't complete. We did have one tiny sliver of hope. That was... Hey Kirigiri, I know Monokuma asked you about it earlier, but what was that key you got from Celeste? In all likelihood, It's a key to one of the lockers in the dressing room. Huh? Then did she... I presume that's where she hid it. Where does a wise man hide a leaf? In the forest. We should see for ourselves right away. Yes, you're right. And I know I don't usually do this, but I'm going to end the episode before the chapter finishes, because there's still a little bit left to go, and I'm fucking tired for today. So next time on DanganRonpa, we're going to finish up chapter 3, with whatever little bit of it we have left. See you guys then. Bye-bye.